Hello and welcome to this month's DriveSims Hot Lap Challenge. My name is Blake, but you can find me on the leaderboards as Little_Regret. I'm one of the on-staff driving instructors here at our Concord location, and I'll be your coach for this month's guide around Circuit Mont-Tremblant. Make sure to stick around to the end of the video to see all the prizes on offer for this month's challenge. This month, we'll turn back the clock to some of the most exciting racing machines of yesteryear, the Can-Am series of cars racing on one of the very first circuits in Can-Am history. Mont-Tremblant is a fantastic and challenging old-school circuit, giving the cars room to stretch out up to 200 miles per hour with incredible elevation changes and difficult variable radius corners. You'll need your A-game to set a good, clean lap here, much less to compete for the top spots. That's why I'm here to help, so let's get ourselves locked in. We wanted to celebrate the history of a spectacular series on a tricky ribbon of track, as Mont-Tremblant played host to the first race of the inaugural Can-Am Challenge season, with the race being won by John Surtees in a Lola T70. The cars that competed in Can-Am would push the limits of vehicle design and development in the 1960s and 70s, with massive amounts of power and early aerodynamics in very lightweight cars. Speaking of the cars, let's take a look at our lineup for the challenge. I casually refer to Can-Am cars as screaming metal death traps or flying bathtubs, but this was the Wild West for racing series of the day, with relatively few rules to slow the cars down or to equalize performance. We saw cars such as the Chaparral 2E, which used an automatic transmission and a huge active rear wing. The Ferrari 312 PB also appeared, using a high-revving V12 and a nimble chassis, along with a fearsome McLaren M8C and Porsche 91730 that dominated the class in later years. All of these cars existed before driver assists like traction control, stability control, or ABS, but for this challenge they are available and personally recommended, especially with how tough these cars can be to drive. It really takes a patient driver to learn how to extract the most without those assists, having to balance the braking and throttle for every single corner. I would say the Ferrari and Chaparral are more approachable to drive across the board due to more natural power delivery and, in my opinion, better handling, where the McLaren M8C and Porsche have way more power, at the cost of being rather difficult to drive even with assistance. But with that said, let's take a quick walk of the track and break it down. This venue not only hosted Can-Am, but also Formula One in the late 60s and early 70s, and is known to be a difficult old-school track with high-speed corners, sometimes leading directly into slower chicanes and corner complexes. I mentioned the elevation change earlier because it really changes the way the car behaves while turning, depending on if the car is going uphill, downhill, or level. Keep your vision on track as far ahead as possible, so you're able to focus most on where you want the car to go, rather than where the car is going currently. I'm going to be shifting my own gears with the H-pattern gearbox and clutch, but we have automatic and semi-automatic transmission modes available, so you don't have to use the clutch at all unless you want to. Just be aware that if you choose a full manual transmission, you do have to use the clutch as well. To start the lap, we have a fast right-hand sweeper that rises at turn 1, falls away at turn 2, and continues through turn 3. These are all going to be linked and driven almost as one single corner for this lap. Spot the pit exit on the left-hand side of the track, and make sure you are early on the brakes before the end of the pit wall. I gently brake as straight as possible and ease the car in, positioned to hit the apex as I reach the crest. Coming over the hill, you can feel your car unsettle beneath you in the haptic feedback, and the car will want to run wide since it's losing grip. With the Ferrari, you might get back on power earlier than the McLaren, but speeds need to be managed through turns 1 and 2 regardless of the car. Once it settles, you can roll onto the accelerator and move your eyes to your next braking reference for the S's of turns 4 and 5. I use the apex curbing for turn 3 as a visual marker. I put some weight on the front tires by easing off the gas before touching the curb, pointing the car to the outside of turn 4 and braking in a straight line again, starting turn 4 wide to make sure I carry as much speed as I can without overdriving. My goal is to tighten up the line through the right-hander and open up the exit of the left-hand turn 5 for a strong run out of the corner. A gentle left-hander will follow this quickly, and you need to lift off the throttle a bit to clear the corner. I try to keep anywhere from 30 to 50% throttle through the corner entry depending on the car, and ease back to 100 before you see the exit curving. Sweep back to the left immediately to set the car up for another right-hand sweeper at turn 7, and brake in a straight line around the 150 board before easing the car over to the right at nearly 100 miles per hour. Trailing off the brake pedal as you turn in helps, and you need to manage the understeer here with the pedals and stay patient until you can again spot that exit curb and power off. You'll have a brief straightaway that is followed by a tight right after this corner. Brake a bit before the 150 meter board for turn 8 and go down the gears quickly to maximize the engine braking without over revving the car or locking the brakes. This long corner wants you to prioritize the exit, so I try my best to be brave on the brakes and cut to the inside after rotating the car, which makes it easier to get on power for the not so straight straightaway ahead. This late apex approach is especially important for all of the cars, as the M8C and 91730 are both very difficult to smoothly exit the corner with if you're steering, while the Chaparral and Ferrari need as much time on power as possible to close the gap to the more powerful contenders. Turn 9 is a flat-out left-hander called the hump, and I usually wouldn't mention it, but these cars can catch air over the hump during this turn. To minimize that risk, aim to the left-hand side of the track beforehand and be careful with the angle of the steering wheel as you land from this unless you want to ruin what is so far a great lap. Use all the track on the left to brake between the 200 and 150 boards for the next complex, a complicated sweeping right-left that tries to throw you off quite a bit. I'll slow down early and take this in third gear, trying to get the car as far to the right as I can while holding momentum, and then set the car up for the gulch at turn 11. There won't be much time for the car to settle, so don't force it. Just aim the nose for the inside curb and your momentum will carry you out to the right-hand side, with almost no time to get back on power. You have a completely blind uphill corner coming anyway at the bridge turn, so make the braking zone as straight as possible, use the exit curb for turn 11 as a braking reference, go down to second, and cut into the left for a deceptively tight apex at turn 12. If I do this right, I can get back on the power here after the tightest point of the corner and trace a straight path through the right-hand kink at full throttle. The final braking zone for a name-row corner has you placing the car on the left before the tightest turn of the track, which is again blind due to the steep elevation dip. Brake extra early just past the 150 and be careful not to lock up since there's a gravel trap just outside of the track. This corner is extremely tight and you have to approach it very slowly in first gear with most cars, then drive off the corner without lighting up the rear tires. I personally hate this turn, but it can make or break your lap. Even after that, you've still got one left-hand sweeper remaining at Paddock Bend, which needs you to lift before turning and get back on power as you come onto the front straightaway and across the line. The entire final sector is a huge challenge, so place your focus on getting through it first and adding your speed later. I know a lot of people will dirty their laps by running off track at the bridge turn or in the final braking zone at name row. So the sooner you learn how to do those right, the sooner you can get valid laps on the board and learn how to bring those times down even more quickly. Let's take a look at a full lap while we talk through the key points. Smooth is fast, especially with these Can-Ams. Your goal is to not lock up the brakes on entry, not overdrive the mid-corner with too much steering, and to smoothly put down your power on the way out of the corner. With some cars, that's nearly impossible, but that's also part of the fun of taking these beasts to the limit and taming them. Tuning can also help you out massively. I won't give out any setups here because everyone's driving style is different, and I will sometimes use an entire 30-minute session just tinkering with one car. But some of them do have variable boosts and engine limiter settings that, when set correctly, can hugely increase the straight line speed of the car. I expect the top times to be in the low 1-minute 30s or even high 1-minute 20s for this lap, and 1:34.6 is what I was able to manage myself. I'll be competing on the leaderboard too in order to improve my time, though I won't be taking any prizes since I had a little extra time to set a lap due to the making of this video. Our third place winner will receive a $25 voucher for their next visit to DriveSims. Second place will receive a $75 credit so they can bring a few friends with them or even book more time. And our first place winner can use a $150 voucher for a whole group of their buddies to come in and race, or really stock up on practice so they can win the next Hot Lap Challenge. Remember that if you want some additional help reaching the top, we also offer one-on-one coaching sessions, where our instructors, including myself, can give you specific, personalized advice to lower your lap times and real-time feedback on your progress. Make sure to ask our staff to set up an appointment for your coaching, or contact us on our website at DriveSims.com. We also will have our Fall Race League starting very shortly, where teams of drivers will compete in heat races together to take home the maximum amount of points each week. If you have a DriveSims account, you'll be receiving an email soon with all the information on the league. And if not, you can make an account today to make sure you know all the details as soon as they're released. And if you want to support your favorite sim racing shop, we have our DriveSims t-shirts, caps, and I cannot recommend the driving gloves enough, with extra grips on the fingers and palms. Thank you guys so much for watching this month's DriveSims Hot Lap Challenge Guide. Make sure to share this video with your friends. Thank you so much for choosing DriveSims, and we'll see you all out on the track.